Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
I feel like I've been reacting to so many things with Dan Snow in it, but he's great. So, how did medieval monks survive on such a lackluster diet? So we've seen the World War II rations. There was one with pig's feet in it, and I forget. And I thought I'd like to. Hi guys, sorry. Hi, how are you? I should have said that. Oh, some of the things like the pig's feet are the jellied eels. And I'm like, the eel meat doesn't look that bad. Like it looks white and kind of fluffy. I'm not sure what texture it'd be, but and the pig's feet, there's got to be some meat on it, right? But it just looks so like why not like grill it a little or something like that? It just looks so awful. But I like all sorts of food. Every kind of food except olives. I have yet to it has yet to grow on me. Maybe it's just so powerful and salty tasting, olives. So it's not that I don't like olives, it's just that it needs to be a very little bit in a bigger I'll stop. Okay, let's go. Hey Dan, original link to the video, top of the description below, that link to the Discord. We'd love to have you. Go.
That is tasteless, cold. Oh, and that is an acquired taste. I'm Dan Snow, and today I've come to a 13th century Cistercian abbey at Beaulieu to work out just what those medieval monks would have eaten. Let's see what's on the menu.
That's nice.
Cistercian monks were determined they would be as self-sufficient as possible. Many abbeys supported themselves through agriculture and brewing ale. There's one thing the Cistercians didn't like, it was those other groups of monks who they said had all gone soft and become gluttons. And so Cistercians ruled the monks should eat only once a day, and meat was forbidden to all apart from the sick. The Cistercians' diet largely consisted of coarse bread, but also vegetables, herbs, beans, and on really crazy special occasions, they let their hair down and they might have some fish, some eggs, or other delicacies known as pittances. One of the most famous Franciscans of them all, Bernard of Clairvaux, wrote in a sermon, "I abstain from meat because by overfeeding the body, I also feed carnal desires. I strive to take even bread with moderation, lest my heavy stomach hinder me in standing up for prayer." He sounds like a blast. Pottage, eaten by almost everyone in the medieval period. It's basically a soup, a stew, or throwing anything that's lying around into a pot and heating it up. It contains vegetables and grains, things like that. Often eaten with bread. So let's give it a go.
Hold on, guys. My background just changed. Come on, Microsoft. It's nice and all, but a manatee. Okay, that's good. It's good enough.
Tasteless. That is tasteless, cold, sticky, not very nice.
No salt?
But it's all they had. They were popular because there were lots of variations on this. You just chucked in whatever happened to be around at the time. They could be boiled up quickly and served, or some pottages would sort of stay on the fire in a pot for days on end, and people just kind of keep adding additional ingredients from time to time. Really, this needs, frankly, anything to spice it up. Herbs that could grow here in the UK or the Northern Hemisphere are quite nice, like rosemary. Get that in there. Ideally salt, but salt cost a bit of money, so that was almost a bit of a luxury.
I feel like salt is everywhere, though. I've never procured or farmed or mined salt, whatever you do. But aren't there ways to take it out of the ocean that are pretty simple? Like you get buckets of ocean water, you put it somewhere in the sun in a larger thing and let it evaporate, and won't there just like be edible salt? See, this is how ignorant of the subject I am, okay? But I feel like salt is is everywhere. No, man, I'm wrong. Apparently, clearly they couldn't get their hands on it. So
Ideally salt, but salt cost a bit of money, so
it was expensive.
that was almost a bit of a luxury back in those days. But we've also got sage and thyme. Frankly, I think the more the better. It needs every little bit of help it can get. That is an improvement. The vegetables in here might be leeks, beans, peas, cabbage, sprouts. No potatoes, of course, because Christopher Columbus had not travelled across the Atlantic yet and brought back potatoes.
It's a shame.
It was common for monks to have these vegetables growing nearby. They had very well-tended gardens.
Didn't a population boom coincide with the introduction of New World edible plants, vegetables? Is a potato a vegetable? Potato.
They'd grow herbs as well there to...
But yeah, corresponding with the potato, because I guess potatoes they're really, like, they're densely caloric, I think, but they also, I guess, like, they can grow in pretty, not great soil that a lot of other plants wouldn't be able to do well in, and you can put a lot of, like, it's a big calorie per acre plant, and a hardy vegetable, right? So wasn't that a big deal?
Provide flavour and also for medicinal purposes. Cistercian monks were remarkably skilled herbalists, and in many of those monasteries like this one, those herb gardens survive to this day. You can't talk about medieval food without talking about fish, particularly pickled herring. This one is in a trencher of bread. Let's give it a go. Basically herring, a lot of that in northern waters, wrapped up in bread, a plate of bread. Oh, and that is an acquired taste. Oh, it's it goes on delivering as well. You get the very strong herring taste, and the pickle really comes through. But actually, it's offset a bit now with the nice soft bread. Not too bad. Ooh.
You can eat the bones with herring too, right? Or maybe not. Are they soft enough?
The nice soft bread. Not too bad. Ooh. Fish would typically be eaten on feast days, so important religious days, or fast days. And there were about 3 fast days a week that Christians observed in the Middle Ages. There was a Wednesday, the day that Judas betrayed Christ, a Friday in penance for Jesus' suffering, and frankly, that is penance. Now, in addition to that, there was the marathon fish-eating period of the year, which was Lent. 40 days, no meat. Fine if you live on the coast, guzzle down seafood. But when you live inland, abstinence was on a very different scale. Week upon week of muddy-tasting freshwater fish, or salted herring and cod. Whew. Easter must have been a party. One of my favourite quotes about this is from a 15th century schoolboy who wrote in his diary, "Thou wilt not believe how weary I am of fish, how much I desire that flesh were come in again. For I have eaten none other than salt fish this Lent, and it has engendered so much phlegm within me that it stops my pipes, that I can scarcely speak nor breathe." I can see how you get like that after 40 days of this. Monks.
So awesome having written words from, like, common people that, there's stuff that was kind of like, I love surviving written words from more common people who their writings weren't expected to be known in the future, because there's something about, like, very, like, historic, obviously preserved writings that I would almost think there might be a little. I love Meditations is a great example, I think, right? Was it Marcus Aurelius? Like, he wasn't really sure, because I feel like there's some kind of curated, shining kind of thing when you make statements or poems or something that, you know you're trying to present. But when it's someone's just writing, there's kind of I feel a little bit more connected to it, I guess. Does that make sense?
A lot of beer. There were hundreds of monasteries right across Europe, all brewing beers, partly because they wanted to be completely self-sufficient. It's really safer as well as nicer to drink beer in a world, particularly where there's lots and lots of sewage in the water. The brewing process cleaned the beer and made it safe for humans to drink. So men, women and children all drank a lot of beer in the medieval period. Monks became well known for brewing because they followed a principle of self-sufficiency. So they wanted to make sure that everything they ate and drank could be provided by the monastery themselves. The monks made some important innovations. In order to keep up with growing demand, they figured out new ways to mass-produce beer. They added hops to it to balance out the sweetness from the malt. And that also acted as a preservative, which meant in the period following the medieval period, when European sailors started sailing across vast distances towards the Americas and Asia, they could take barrels of beer to stop them getting too thirsty. I think lots of people were brewing and fermenting and distilling anything they get their hands on in this period, but monks became particularly well known for making great beer.
Was it watered down heavily? Well, actually, no. The water was the problem, I guess. But less alcohol content, because if that's all you're drinking, especially on a ship, like be some throwing up a bit. I don't know.
The reason they gave was because they believed they needed to make the best product possible since they were working for God, and a subpar beer would be a major offence. Sure, lads.
You didn't think the same for your food, huh?
I'm not sure I'm cut out to be a medieval monk. I mean, I like the outdoors. I like the idea of being self-sufficient, a life of quiet contemplation. But I think the food's just a bit thin. Lots of beer, though.
The thing that is so unappealing about a religious pursuit. I'm fine if I'm not religious. I've never been religious. But if you know if you want to become religious calling, do whatever you want to do, right? But I can't imagine spending your entire life learning and devoting to one thing, to one topic. Oh God! Like how much after like 10? What does a 50-year-old monk know that, or a person who's been a monk for 50 years know that someone who's been a monk for 25, 30, 10 years doesn't know? Man.
Thanks for joining me, folks. If you've enjoyed watching, please click on any of the videos on this screen for more delicious content.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I've seen both of these here. World War II rations, that's where the pig's feet was. And Victorian era. All right, cool. It didn't look that bad, to be honest. A little bit of salt in that vegetable-ish stew, some bread, beer. That's all I really need. I mean, look, I don't like. I like seasoning. I love flavor when it's done right, but like when it comes to steak, probably my favorite food. Throw it on the grill, take it off the grill. I'll eat it like an apple if I have to. Or just steak, potatoes, water. I'm good. I'm set. Hope you guys are doing well. Would appreciate any and all comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.